Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Face in your face. Face in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching the channel for the first time, the reason why it's called Uncommon Sense because here on this top panel, this channel, we talk about everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions, but not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it's called Uncommon Sense. Now, I see we already had some comments in the chat. Oh, it's good to see. Thank you, Miss Mo, for stopping by. And of course, the one and only, beautiful and intelligent Denise Gonzalez. I'm glad you love the intro. Now, before I continue, let me just state that both these ladies have their YouTube channels. So I'm going to ask that you show some love and check out their content. I'm just going to let everybody know that I'm currently live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Que Dios te bendiga, hija. ¿Cómo tú estás esta noche? So, as always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who've already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been a subscriber from the very beginning or just recently joined. I just want to show my love and appreciation to all of you. And of course, a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media, as well as those who allow me to enter into your devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So, and of course, I have another YouTube channel called Latina Diaspora, where I talk about issues pertaining to Latinos in the United States. Description is in, link is in the description. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. So tonight's topic is going to be a different point of view. And what is that? I'm going to illustrate the point that two mature people can have different points of view. They can disagree, but yet be agreeable when we disagree. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be airing some clips from the stream that I did with Denise Gonzalez regarding the topic whether or not the pandemic was over. We had a disagreement. We both presented our facts. She presented her facts. I presented my facts. Don't worry, Denise. Don't worry. It's not gonna be a hatchet job. Believe me. Basically, the whole point is that I want to illustrate that we're able to have different points of view and be mature about it. Okay, something. I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little surprised at what happened earlier. I'm going to talk about that on my segment called In My Words. So, excuse me, just give me a moment. Okay, so now we're going to have another segment of In My Words. Let's see. Look, no, you know, Denise, you have known me for almost 4 years, okay? I am not that type of a person, okay? But this is the thing, which brings up, it's a good segue to what I'm going to talk about now. Um, I participated in a stream with the Intro Boricua, okay? And of course, he was giving his stream, um, and I made some interesting points. Among them is I agree to a large extent to what Denise has been talking about when it comes to dealing with the undocumented. Okay. Now look, I know people can get emotional about it, but if you take away the emotion, you have to accept the fact that when you enter the country illegally, you broke the law. Okay. Now I get it. There are people who enter the country because of the situation, the economic situation is horrible, the political situation is horrible. There are many factors. But one thing that I agree with Denise 100%, why these individuals do not try to resolve the issues in their respective countries. Why? Okay. Why is there an automatic need to come to the United States? Okay. Now, I do have sympathy towards these people. Um, the fact that, okay, they may be working, they may be paying taxes and things like that, and otherwise they have not done any criminal activity. Nevertheless, when you enter the country illegally, you have broken the law. Okay. My point exactly. My point exactly. And what I'm disappointed was the focus regarding the rhetoric Trump has been given. Okay. Now, mind you, I have issues with Trump. I don't like the rhetoric that he said. Okay. But I will say this much. Someone is trying to deal with the situation with the undocumented. And I think we can all agree. Previous administrations, both Democratic and Republican, has failed to address this issue to the point that we don't know how many undocumented people are here. Some people say 11 million, some people say 12 million, some people can say it's 15 million, but truthfully, we don't know. Okay, and the reality is this: some of them may enter the country legally, but they overstay their visas and became illegally residing in this country. And then there are those who snuck in or through other ways. But the reality is this, and again, okay, each country has the right to dictate how they govern who they let enter and not enter in this country. And this is the thing. This is something that I have addressed not only on the stream earlier today, but also on I believe in Denise's last stream. Some of these people had 10 years to try to legalize their status. Okay. And the fact of the matter is, you do have resources to help you to try to legalize your status. In many cities, you have, of course, Catholic charities, okay, in their respective dioceses. You also have organizations that provide free legal counsel to the undocumented. and there are other resources for these people to legalize their status. So they cannot say that there are no resources there. There are resources. I mean, particularly if you're living in New York, okay, you have Catholic Charities in the Archdiocese of Law. You have no, you have the Legal Aid Society. You have other organizations that assist people who enter the country illegally to enter to legalize their status. And the fact that no one that these people have done jack nothing, that's insane. And then you bring in your children here, okay? You know, and to be honest, I'm going to say something that's going to be unpopular by some people, but so be it. If you are, if you enter the country illegally and then you bring in children that are small, that are illegal, you're doing harm to your own children. And I'm going to say this in Spanish. Cuando hay personas que entran en el país sin pasando el proceso legal y trae pequeños niños aquí, es hacer un daño contra sus propios hijos. Okay? So, I mean, I'll say it in English, I'll say it in Spanish. But the fact of the matter is, when you are undocumented, you need to do everything you can legally to legalize your status. Because the longer that you don't do this, the more you put yourself at risk that you're going to be picked up by ICE. And again, I have sympathy. And unlike some of these people that love to talk in these YouTube streets, I have dealt with the migrants for over a year. So therefore, if there's anyone that can talk about it, it's me. Okay. I don't know. Maybe Denise, you have some involvement dealing with the migrants or the undocumented. I don't know. But to the best of my knowledge, I'm the only content creator that actually dealt with them. Okay. And I actually spoken with some of them. And I actually tried to explain to them, the fact of the matter is, this country cannot save the entire world. Okay. And I find it odd that I can say the same thing that Denise said, but there's no issue. But when a woman says it, all of a sudden there is an issue. I'm sorry, but facts are facts. Truth is truth, regardless how it's said and regardless in what manner it is said. Okay? Which is why I decided to have this topic, a different point of view. Okay. And this is the thing. And contrary to what some people believe, there were children being put in cages under the Obama administration. Okay. I plan to do a stream about this topic sometime, possibly next week, where I'm going to give you my own spin. Okay. A lot. I'm going to agree a lot. I agree with a lot what Denise has said. But in all fairness, being that this is a new topic, so therefore, some of my thoughts, it's in transition. So it may develop as time, and that's perfectly fine. But I just wish people will not let emotion get involved into the discussion and just simply discuss the facts. Okay. And no, Just because you are in favor of mass deportation does not make you automatically a MAGA. Okay. The MAGA people basically they just blindly follow whatever Trump says. And again, I have known Denise for almost 4 years. One thing I can say is she does actually uses her gray matter. She thinks she's rational. She thinks about things. She doesn't act like emotion. Okay. And if people don't like it that I'm saying this and I'm defending Denise, you know what? Don't let the door hit you with a good Lord split you. That's all I'm gonna say on that. And I don't know if Denise can hop on when I get that stream because I know she's very busy. But in any case, all I'm gonna say is this: let us learn to have discussions without bringing emotion into this. That's all I'm gonna say. And with that being said, we're gonna get into the next topic. Now, let me just state for the record that the views. Okay, correction. Let me just state for the record: the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone wishes to hit that link and opine regarding the topic in hand, they can do so. Again, I know I've said this every stream, but I have to keep saying, if I never seen you before, if I never heard from you before, I will insist that you come up in the backstage and to make sure that no one flashes anything inappropriate, which would cause the people of YouTube to take down their stream. Okay. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest. The motivation for me to have this topic tonight had to do with the fact that there are certain individuals that get emotional when someone expresses a contrary point of view. And some people are unable or incapable of dealing with that with different points of view without bringing emotion into it. Okay. And I've said this before and I've said this again. When I met Denise, it was on one of Christina's streams where I had a sharp disagreement regarding what she said. Okay. Now, I noticed that several of the male members of the panel have taken issue regarding what she was saying. Okay. I took issue to it as well. The difference was instead of passing judgment, what I did was I listened fully what she was saying. And then I came to the realization, you know what? What she said makes a lot of sense. Okay. And it had to do with the topic of femicide. Okay. Something that's another serious topic that many people have a problem discussing logically because whenever we talk about uh, women being harmed, women being deleted, women being essayed, okay, all of a sudden some person will come up and say, yeah, it's happening to men too. And it's like, of course it's happened to men. But the point is this. We shouldn't get emotional when it comes to a topic, okay? Particularly a topic that you know very little of. Okay. And sometimes what we need to do is instead of automatic opining, listen to what's being said and then if you want clarification, then you ask questions. Okay, that is the logical thing to do. Unfortunately, as we can tell here in these YouTube streets, not everyone uses logic. Okay, you have certain individuals when you say something, um, they overreact. Okay, and then what they do is they call you names. They call you anything and everything but a child of God. Now, I've seen this with several content creators. I've seen it being done to me. Okay. All I can do, look, I cannot control what other people say or react. I can only control my response. Okay. That's all. That's all I can do. Okay. Now, before I start playing the clip, let me just give you a little background, um, what transpired. Now, then, over 3 years ago, in the midst of the COVID-19 uh, health crisis, because, and the reason why I say that is that Denise expressed the point of view that the pandemic was over and that we have an endemic. Okay. And I stated, with all due respect, I respectfully disagree. So, what we did on my platform, we had a discussion. I mean, it's kind of like a debate, kind of. Except I didn't like. Uh, well, it was more like a discussion slash debate. So what? Okay, so what I did was I presented my opening argument as far as why I believe the pandemic was still going on, and I based it on the fact that at the time, the number of deletions was increasing steadily. Also, I based it based on the fact that the lines to get testing was long due to the lack of medical staff that was infected by C-19. Also, fact that some of the trains in the subway were not operating due to lack of personnel. Also, due to the fact that the protocols which were in place, okay, which is the following: uh, you have to get yourself tested on a regular basis. You have to submit an assertion stating to the effect that you have not been exposed to COVID-19, and along with that, not along with presenting your ID, also you have to present the assertion that you have not been exposed to COVID-19, and then you have to wear a mask while working. And the only time that you were able to get by without a mask is when you're eating or drinking. So, based on that criteria, my argument was that the pandemic was not over. Denise's argument that the pandemic was over had to do with the fact that the crisis had transitioned. Okay. And what she did was she gave a definition of what is a pandemic and an endemic. Okay. And what we both did was we both presented facts from the CDC. And both of us made, in my estimation, intelligent points. And when everything was said and done, I have to conclude that Denise was correct. Denise, I don't know if you're still in the chat. Still in the chat. I don't know if you recall that discussion we had on my platform. If you do, please indicate accordingly. Um, if you're not in the chat, I get it because mothers have a responsibility, things of that nature. And I see here my sister, sexy Iris, one join. Good evening, Iris. Nice to see you in the chat. Okay. I hope you're doing well. And I see here we also have Reza in the house. Yes, thank you very much. You are truly, without a doubt, one of my best mods, Reza. Now, the topic for tonight is a different point of view. So what we're doing is we're discussing how two people that can have two different points of view, they can disagree, but yet be agreeable when we disagree. Okay. And to be perfectly honest, not everyone has that ability. Okay. Good evening, Ramon. Thank you very much. Okay. And of course, the intro Rico has his channel, so I actually show some love and subscribe. It's the same thing with Rizza. So the topic for tonight is a different point of view. Okay. And one thing that I've seen in my 3.5 years as a content creator, there are some that are able to have disagreements and be agreeable when they disagree. And then you have others who are not in a position to do that. Okay. We have seen that. Okay. And we have seen how certain individuals act so immature. Okay. To the extent that people argue, people call each other names and things of that nature, because unfortunately they lack the maturity um, to discuss their differences like adults. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to share my screen because, oops, that's not what I want to do. Okay. So hopefully the image will appear, or else I'm just going to have to play the audio. Oh, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play some clips, and then we're going to have a discussion. Is the COVID-19 pandemic over? And of course, the question is, why are we raising that issue? Now, before I let my guests come in, I'm going to read the disclaimer. The views of the guests who appear on the channel are not necessarily the views of the host of this channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host, Jose Negron, or the channel Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to your image on this channel. Some of the views which guests may hold may be offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now, good evening, daughter.
Good evening. Bendición, ¿cómo están?
Muy bien, que Dios te bendiga. Feliz Día de los Reyes.
Yes, hoy estamos de fiesta.
I don't know if you heard, but today I actually reached 40 subs.
Yeah, you told me. Yeah, that's cool. It's moving up.
Yes, and the best part is without any smoke, without any drama.
Yeah, without any bochinche.
Now, tonight we're going to have an interesting topic, which I know we're going to disagree, which is the COVID-19 pandemic over? Now, in all fairness, I did do some preparation in regards to tonight's topic.
Me too.
Now, let me just state, okay. So basically, what we're going to do is we're going to discuss our point of view, and then we will share our information. So we will continue. Particularly when it comes to the Omicron variant, okay, the fact of the matter is it is not as deadly as the Delta variant, but the infection rate is very high.
Yeah, because it doesn't. Well, continue. I'll say my opinion later.
Okay, now of course I have another disclaimer, which I'm going to read, which is the following. The views expressed regarding the COVID-19 pandemic are personal views. Any concerns or questions regarding COVID-19 should be directed to medical staff who are familiar with your personal health concerns. Individuals are encouraged to go to the CDC website or www.nyc.gov if you reside within the 5 boroughs of New York City.
If not, then you're not part of the U.S. No, I'm joking.
No, but the reason why for the disclaimer is that I want to make it clear. I mean, whatever people might view opinions, if they're concerned about COVID-19, they should speak with someone who is an MD. And then, based on the information, they're going to act accordingly.
I think so.
Okay.
Well, first of all, what necessarily tells you that the pandemic is still here?
Okay. First of all, the fact of the matter is, every day as a municipal employee, I have to fill out and attest to the fact of the following. I do not have any of the symptoms for COVID-19. I have not had any close contact with someone who's been tested positive. I have not traveled outside the United States within the last 10 days. And then I have to declare that I'm physically fit to enter any municipal building. And then once I get into the building, along with showing my ID, I got to show the email notification. And I have to wear a mask, which I have to maintain throughout the day, with the exception of me eating and drinking. Okay. Also, as you are aware, there's certain individuals that are high risk with COVID-19. Those who have cancer, those who have chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, weakened immune system from organ transplant, obesity, serious heart condition, sickle cell disease, or type 2 diabetes. I had at least one of those. I had at least one of those medical concerns. That okay. Hello. That was my opening statement as far as why I believe that we was in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, Denise is going to state her case why the pandemic is over. And let me make it perfectly clear. She did not use emotion. She argued facts. So did I. I also argue facts. It just so happens when everything is said and done, I have to conclude that she was right and I was wrong. No tragedy. And now we will continue. Not only myself, but all three of my remaining siblings. The fact of the matter is that I have to go through all this alone. Tells me that the pandemic is not over. Furthermore, due to a shortage of staff in the MTA, complete lines had to be suspended because they did not have the personnel to run the trains and keep to keep the trains clean and in good repair. Also, for those who wish to undergo testing for COVID-19, they have to wait hours. I mean, and there are other reasons why I hold the belief that the pandemic is not over. Now, in all fairness, I will concede the fact that the Omicron variant is not as deadly as Delta, but it's highly infectious. And furthermore, there have been flights, both domestic and international, that had to be canceled due to the fact of lack of staff because they've been infected with COVID-19. I mean, I can go on and on and on. I know you disagree with me 100%, which is fine. But as I stated before, you have some truth, and I have some truth.
Look, my reason.
Now, that was my argument in a nutshell. Okay. Now, of course, there was nothing emotional about it. It was all factual. Okay. Those conditions did existed 3 years ago. I'm happy to say those conditions don't exist today. Okay. Now, in a moment, Denise is going to explain her point of view. And again, let me make this perfectly clear. When everything is said and done, she presented a more credible point of view. No big deal. The world did not dissolve. We didn't encourage the zombie apocalypse. Life went on. Good evening, Tampa Supreme. Thank you very much for stopping by. The topic for tonight is a different point of view. So Denise is going to share her rationale or her point of view.
Listening for stating that the pandemic is over. What's up, Rotep and Rakim? I hope you recover. You have a speedy recovery, Rakim. But the reason why I say the pandemic is over is because you have to look at pandemics in the past in order to assess that question. I think we have an endemic. We don't have a pandemic in our hands anymore. We had a pandemic during 2020, 2021 for the most part. Now, starting 2022, it's ridiculous to continue spreading that we still have a pandemic in our hands. Why? Because you have a large group of people. Look, if you study, let me go back to the first pandemic that we know of, the
Mhm.
1919 influenza pandemic. If we
Yeah,
evaluate how the influenza pandemic spread it out, when they stopped treating it as a pandemic and more as an endemic, even though worldwide we still have today, more than 100 years later, we still have new strains of influenza, is because the strains kept mutating and people kept getting their immune systems in order. And that's what mutated the virus to a less lethal version of it. That's what signaled the end of that pandemic. Look it up. I'm not making this up. So,
Denise, I'm sorry. Would you please define what's an endemic? Because I think if you can do that, I think it will make more sense. Now, what the reason why I asked the question is that whenever we use a phrase or a term, I like to give a full definition. Unfortunately, we're living in a day where people take words and they'll twist the meaning of it and make it to something else. So that's the reason why I asked Denise that question. And now we will listen to what is an endemic.
well, look, a pandemic is basically when you have a prevalent disease or a virus that's spreading on a whole country or the world. But it has to be widespread, prevalent, and pervasive. Now, an epidemic is when something was under control, but then all of a sudden it started spiking or increasing in cases, which is what we're seeing right now. And even what we saw in Wuhan. In Wuhan, we did not saw a pandemic. What we saw was an
Sorry.
endemic cases, which is what we're seeing right now. An epidemic, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I forgot to put my phone on mute. I'm sorry. Please continue.
So basically, what we're seeing right now is that we saw mutations. First of all, we have to go to the initial SARS-CoV-1 in Shanghai, China in 2008, 2009.
Okay.
The first SARS was the most deadly coronavirus that ever existed. It killed the host most of the times to the point that it was less. And those are the measures that are used by virologists and epidemiologists and whatnot. It killed less people and it was less contagious because it made the host sicker. So a person that was, infected could not go around and about as much as someone with SARS-CoV-2, which is COVID-19, and spread it to other people. So of course, it was highly contagious, but it was not to a degree that caused terror like we saw with COVID-19, because COVID-19 was less deadly. However, it was more contagious because it will still allow you to have some form of a life and interaction with others. Now, even though it mutated from the first coronavirus, now we're seeing that I'm sorry. Now we're seeing that it mutated into the Mu variant, which was still considered somewhat deadly. It died out really fast.
Mhm.
Then the Delta variant, that was still considered more deadly, less deadly than original COVID-19, which is SARS-CoV-2, but still, it was still considered deadly. We had COVID-20, which was another mutation of the virus, and all these variants started as people started getting the vaccine. And the thing is that eventually we got the Omicron variant. Now that a lot of people around the globe are getting these vaccines because your body is more able to defeat the virus, and it makes it mutate into something less lethal. That's why, even though at first The CDC said, oh, we had the first Omicron variant death in Texas. And literally, not even an hour later, they had to say, hey, we stand correct that it was not necessarily Omicron. We're taking it back. It was a reinfection case, and that's why it killed the host. And that's literally what happened. We have not had yet Omicron deaths. We are having either COVID 19 deaths, or we're having Delta variant deaths, or we're having any other variant that is not related to Omicron. So you have to ask yourselves, we have three different avenues to combat this virus at this point. We have the vaccine, we had Paxlovid, Paxlovid, which is the Pfizer medicine, and we have the Merck's Pharmaceuticals pill also. That is a home treatment, and both of these pills reduce hospitalizations at an 89% rate. So if you take it within the first 5 days of symptoms, you're way less likely, almost 90% less likely than to end up in the hospital. Now, a lot of people will say, well, we have had hundreds of thousands of deaths. Now, I even posted on my Instagram. Now we're seeing that the data is being revised, because if you will go to the hospital, they're like, well, the news are starting to listen to some doctors right now. And they're saying, well, if you go to the hospital immediately, even if you go because you have an infected toenail, they will perform a COVID 19 test on you. And if you have COVID 19, even if it's not affecting you, they will book you as a hospitalization for COVID. So now we don't really have proper data, because this is an agenda at this point to keep people locked down or in place in order for them to keep getting boosted to health. That is just my point of view, based on many information that I have read, based on what the CDC is saying, the FDA situation going on, what we're seeing in Israel, we're seeing in New Zealand, we're seeing it in Canada, we're seeing it in Australia, and it's not pointing into any other direction. So that's just the way I see it. We already have ways to treat it, and there's no reason for us to continue down this path.
So that was the argument Denise was stating, why why it was no longer a pandemic but an endemic. So I'm not gonna play the entire stream because it's an hour and I think 42 minutes. What I will do is, after the stream is over, um, I will link this stream, the stream in the description so that people can watch it. So as you can see, I express my observation. I gave my evidence of why I hold the position that I hold. Denise, in turn, she presented her statement and then she gave her arguments. And when you and to be perfectly fair, the way she explained it made sense, which is why I had to conclude that uh, her point was more valid. Okay, it does not take away the fact that I was expressing valid points. She was expressing valid points. It does that her points were more valid, more valid, has more validity. That's all it is. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to advance it. I'm going to play like one more clip, and then we're going to have a discussion. Just give me a moment.
pandemic when they were saying it will require 70% of the population of one region to get immunity or vaccination to achieve herd immunity, which is basically what signals the end of a pandemic. Now, it doesn't matter how we slice it, we have more than 70%. If you look at the fully vaccinated, it's 74%. 74.
Now, again, Denise did not state opinion. Denise did not express emotion. She expressed facts. I express facts as well. It just so happens that her facts have more validity. That's all it is. With that, I was not working remotely from home because there were days where I actually physically reported to the office. Unfortunately, our beloved ex-mayor, de Blasio, who's thinking about running to become governor, in his infinite, okay, I know, okay, Lord forgive me, but I'm going to say it, freaking stupidity, mandated us to go, all of us to go back to our respective work locations. And then, and I'm trying to keep this clean, okay? And then have the audacity without any negotiation with the municipal employees to give an incentive of $500 for those municipal employees who went into a city facility to get the first dose, and force thousands of municipal employees to go on leave without pay simply because they chose not to get vaccinated. Now, if you've been following me from the beginning, my message has been the following. I have not been pro-vax. I have not been anti-vax. My situation has been the following. You speak to your doctor regarding whatever concern that you have. You get yourself educated regarding COVID-19, regarding the symptoms, regarding the side effects of the vaccines. And then based on that information, you decide for yourself. That has been my message since day one. Even mandatory vaccinations, I do not hold that feeling, that theory. And right now, municipal unions are negotiating with the new mayor to try. The problem is which is how you differentiate regarding those that can safely work in person compared to those who cannot. Now, Denise basically said the following. Those who have those previous conditions, whether it be a cancer survivor, whether it be diabetes, the immune system is weakened, they should work remotely from home. And when you think about it, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. Now, in all fairness, 3 years ago, I did not hold that belief. It took me a while for me to come to that realization because people do evolve. Okay. People evolve and people receive updated information, and sometimes their point of view is going to be different. And there's no problem with that. Because in fact, we should all be striving to evolve. Because if we do not, I mean, we will become stagnant. groups.
But have you?
Yes, but with people, but what I've done is it with people who have been vaccinated and when I encountered
Of choice. You chose to have those gatherings. You could have just simply say, no, the pandemic is still going on. And for your health and mine, I'm going to stay home. It all comes down to choice because we live in a free country. Nobody can tell people what to do. It comes down to people's discretion. But I find it funny that most people, like for example, my mom for never stopped gathering many people throughout the whole pandemic. It's mostly, and I hate to say it, I know you're not gonna like it, Jose, but it's mostly the boomers that are doing this. They don't want to stay home, but they want to gather
My apologies. I'm not going to continue to stream, but basically, um, excuse me. But you get the gist. We we both presented our arguments. Excuse me. We both presented our arguments. Okay. We both presented uh, our facts. Denise made a more valid point. That's all it is. And oh dear Lord. Okay, hello. Hello. Okay. So as I was saying, we both presented our points of view. Denise just made a more valid point. That's all it is. Okay. And I stated accordingly. This was a perfect example where two adults on a topic, but yet were able to discuss their differences, were able to discuss their points of view, following, um, but just to keep it civil. Now, let me just state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. So anyone wishes to hit that, just excuse me, give me a moment because my computer is acting up. Okay, again, my apologies. But let me just repeat what I was trying to say before. As you can see here, um, I expressed a point of view. Denise expressed a point of view which was a complete opposite to my point of view. I presented my evidence, my facts, my talking points to illustrate the validity of what I was saying. Denise, in turn, she discussed her points, her data. And she expressed her point of view without getting emotional, without name calling, without all the trauma that's involved. We were both able to express opposing points of view. And the bottom line, we kept it civil. And that is the whole point of the topic, which is called a different point of view. Meaning that you are, hopefully you at the stage where you can you can have a discussion with someone that does not share your point of view, but keep it civil. Okay. Without name calling, without gaslighting and calling people MAGA or what have you. And let me just state for the record, Denise and myself had disagreed on multiple occasions. We actually met having a disagreement. Okay. But what I have learned from people who disagree with me, I can learn from them. I may not share their point of view, but I can learn from them. And the same thing. There are those who do not agree with what I believe, but yet they manage to learn from me. And that's the beauty part. When two people can disagree and act like mature adults and have a cordial dialogue. And I have this, what I'm going to say is unpopular, but I'm going to say it anyway. Not every creator is capable of engaging with another person without getting emotional, without gaslighting, without calling every name other than being a child of God. I have learned through disagreements. Okay. And whenever I'm wrong, I admit it. Okay, because why? That's what mature people do. Mature people can have disagreements, but they could be civil when they disagree. And believe me, I think I have had disagreements with virtually everyone that appeared on the panel at least once. Whether it be with Denise, whether it be with the Boricua, whether it be with MK, whether it be with Gigi, Multi, Irby, whether it be Radical Latino, whether it be April Showers, whether it be Hammer Time Funk, virtually everybody that appeared on this panel, I was saying I would have at least at one time we disagreed on something. At least one time. And there's no problem. There's no shame. Okay. What it gets to be a problem is when people are unable to accept different points of view. When people are unable to discuss things without getting emotional, without the name calling, without the gaslighting. That's what it is. So at this point, I'm going to start to wrap it up, being that no one has any further comments. Let me just say, okay, now I see here we also have Gene X, the freckle face artist. Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm okay. You know what? I have to learn how to pay more close attention to Instagram. Okay, I'm still learning how to do all this, so please bear with me. I'm not exactly the most tech savvy person in the world. But what I will do is I will share with you what's going to be the next topic, which I'll discuss, which will be on Tuesday night. The fear of aging. Now, as we get older, of course, uh, our health starts to decline slowly but surely. So there are certain concerns that happens as you get older. Among them is issues with your health, also issues as far as loneliness, because of the fact as you grow older, more and more people in your inner circle pass away, whether it be your family, whether it be your siblings, whether it be your spouse, whether it be close friends. So we're going to have a discussion regarding that topic. So what I'm doing is during the stream on a Sunday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, and then Saturday, that's what I'll do a topic on Latina Diaspora. I will address this issue that's been being circulated and pretty soon because I want to give my take on it. And again, um, as troublesome as it is, we do need a mass deportation, okay? Because we cannot deal with everyone coming to this country if they come in illegally. They can have the best intentions in the world. The fact of the matter is, once you enter this country illegally, you have broken the law. And there need to be consequences. That's all. My concern is to make sure that we don't accidentally or on purpose arrest U.S. citizens, confusing them to be undocumented. And that is my concern. But in any case, I just wanted to say thank you uh, for spending whatever time with me discussing the topic. Okay. And of course, the, excuse me, of course, the playback game, do your thing. Check out the stream. Also, if you want to leave any comments, you can do so. I will allow people to share as long as you're not using it to attack me or anybody else, because you will be reported. So, what's my final words? Um, we all need to learn to interact with people with different point of view, and there's going to be times that we're going to disagree. The key is let us discuss where we disagree in a civilized manner. Okay. But above all, let us be agreeable when we disagree. So as always, a huge shout out to everyone in the chat, a huge shout out to those who are watching in the clouds. If you have not done so, please consider subscribing to Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. I do produce content regularly, and I hope that you find my content to be a source of information and humor whenever it's needed. So with that being said, I'm going to close the same way we always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we will be infected by the stupidity and massive insanity. This has been another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron, saying good night, take care, and peace.